What if I told you that the most powerful move a man can make isn't to beg, to plead, or even to speak, but to walk away in complete silence? Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with calm, unshakable certainty. Most men never learn this. They confuse silence with weakness and chasing with strength. They think if they just try a little harder, explain themselves a little better, maybe they can win her back. Maybe they can fix what's broken. But what they don't see is this: every time you chase someone who has already made the choice to walk away, you're not proving your love. You're proving that you've forgotten who you are. Stoic wisdom has always reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Yet in heartbreak, most men give that power away. They become consumed by what she thinks, what she's doing, who she's with. They trade their silence for begging, their stillness for chaos, and their dignity for fleeting moments of attention that were never freely given in the first place. And here's why this truth matters, especially for men who've lived long enough to know better. If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, you've already paid your dues. You've fought your battles quietly, you've sacrificed without applause, you've carried others through storms, anchored by duty and loyalty. But heartbreak, when mishandled, doesn't just sting, it erodes something deeper. It chips away at the inner core of the man you've built over decades. When you chase after someone who doesn't value you, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself in the process. You shrink your spirit to fit inside someone else's indecision. You place your sense of worth into hands that have already let go. But the man who walks away, not to manipulate, not to punish, but to reclaim his center, that man becomes untouchable. Because silence, when rooted in self-respect, doesn't echo with weakness. It echoes with strength, with clarity, with power. And in that silence, something sacred begins to rebuild. That's the path we're stepping into now, the Stoic path. One that doesn't ask for validation, one that doesn't wait for an apology, one that says, I will face this storm, not to be seen, not to win her back, but to return to the man I was always meant to be. And in that quiet return is everything. 10 Stoic insights. Why real men leave in silence. 1. Walking away is an act of power, not defeat. A man's silence after rejection is not surrender. It is restraint. It is the clearest signal that he understands his value. Real men don't beg for love because they know that anything worth keeping never needs to be chased. In silence, a man preserves his dignity, and by leaving without drama, he reclaims his place as the author of his own life, not a character in someone else's indecision. 2. Pain should be felt, not escaped. Stoics don't deny pain, they confront it. When a man loses someone he loves, the heartbreak must be faced, fully and honestly, without distraction. But only once. Letting yourself feel the ache of loss, without numbing it, without running from it, is how the soul burns away illusion and rebuilds strength. The obstacle, as Marcus Aurelius said, becomes the way. Let the pain shape you, not shatter you. 3. Silence is stronger than anger. Anger is loud, silence is enduring. Most men react because they want to be heard. But a Stoic man doesn't need to shout to be understood. His calm speaks volumes. His refusal to retaliate confuses those who expected emotional chaos. And that confusion often becomes the first flicker of regret in her heart. Not because he tried to prove a point, but because he didn't need to. 4. Real worth doesn't need explanation. When you try to convince her of your value, you reveal that you've forgotten it yourself. True value is never explained. It is felt. A Stoic man doesn't defend his worth to those who can't see it. He lives it. He lets his actions, his choices, and his presence speak for him. The less you say, the more they question what they lost. 5. Indifference, when genuine, is freedom. Pretending not to care is easy. Actually not caring, that's power. When a man detaches from outcomes, when he no longer roots his peace in someone else's presence, he becomes free. Not cold, not bitter, just unshaken. The Stoics taught that nothing external can disturb the soul unless you allow it. When you withdraw your emotional dependence, you become immovable. 6. Mirroring disrespect with stillness. If someone pulls away, let them go. Not out of spite, but out of honor. A Stoic man does not chase where he is not welcome. Instead, he mirrors energy. If she creates distance, he does not try to close the gap. He simply stops walking toward it. And in that stillness, he draws a boundary without ever speaking a word. That's not punishment, it's self-respect. 7. Discipline begins with no contact. Each time you resist the urge to reach out, you reclaim a piece of yourself. No contact is not about games, it's about healing. Every silence is a step toward emotional sovereignty. When you stop handing over your attention to someone who walked away, you start building the inner fortress every Stoic man needs, a mind that no longer waits, wonders, or weakens. 8. Let them carry their own consequences. You are not responsible for how she feels about her own decision. She chose her path. Now, let her walk it. Do not rush in to ease her guilt or confusion. That's her burden to bear. A man must learn to hold the line and allow others to feel the absence of what they once took for granted. That absence is not cruelty, it is clarity. 9. Her return is not a win, your growth is. Many men believe that when she comes back, it means they've won. But true Stoic strength is revealed when her return no longer stirs your need for validation. Because the man you've become isn't the man she left, and that man may not choose her anymore. When you no longer seek her approval, when your heart remains steady regardless of her presence, then you've already won. 10. Disappear like a man who no longer needs to be seen. You don't need a final message, you don't need a closing argument. Leave with grace, leave with purpose. Leave like a man who knows that peace isn't found in being heard, it's found in being whole. When you vanish not out of revenge, but out of reverence for your own peace, you create something far more powerful than regret. You create reverence, mystery, respect. And when the time comes, if she ever looks back, she won't remember what you said. She'll remember what you didn't. The silence, the stillness, the way you carried yourself, not toward her, but toward yourself. That's what remains. There comes a point in every man's life where he must choose between reaction and reflection, between being ruled by emotion or guided by wisdom. In the quiet moments after rejection, after disappointment, after the silence of someone's absence grows louder than their presence ever was, this choice becomes more than theory. It becomes a defining moment. The emotional man is led by impulse. When the woman walks away, he scrambles to hold on. He sends long texts, explains what went wrong, begs for another chance. He posts things online not because he's moved on, but because he wants to be seen. His identity has been so tied to her validation that when she leaves, so does his center. He is not broken because of her. He is broken because he forgot who he was before she arrived. The Stoic man, on the other hand, does not deny that he hurts. He bleeds. He reflects. But he does not let that pain steer the wheel. Instead, he returns to principle. He knows that his self-worth is not measured by someone's ability to stay. It is measured by his ability to remain composed when they don't. Where the emotional man reacts to rejection with urgency, the Stoic man responds with silence, not because he is numb, but because he is clear. Where the emotional man externalizes his turmoil, needing someone else to see his pain, the Stoic man turns inward. He strengthens what the storm tried to shake. He writes, he trains, he works, and most of all, he listens, not to her words, but to his own values. The emotional man needs closure. He craves it like a man lost at sea craves land. But the Stoic man understands that closure is a gift you give yourself. You don't need someone's permission to move on. You only need your decision. And in making it, he becomes a man who no longer needs answers, because he has accepted the truth as it is. There is a unique stillness in a Stoic man that unnerves the world around him. The emotional man is loud because he is still trying to be understood. The Stoic man is calm because he has nothing to prove. That calm is what shifts the power. It is what creates the echo in her mind long after she walks away. Not because he shouted, but because he didn't. This is not about suppressing emotion, it's about governing it. The Stoic does not kill feeling, he refines it. He transforms pain into power, heartbreak into clarity, silence into strength. He lives not to be accepted, but to be aligned, with truth, with reason, with discipline. That's the difference, and that difference is everything. So when the emotional man asks, why did she leave? The Stoic man asks, what did I forget about myself that I allowed her to become my center? The emotional man seeks to be chosen again. The Stoic man chooses himself every time. And the world? It watches both. It watches one unravel and the other rise. You've come this far not because you were trying to get her back, but because something inside you finally woke up. You didn't need her to lose you to realize your value. You needed you to remember it. And you did. The silence you chose wasn't emptiness. It was power. The discipline you kept when no one was watching wasn't weakness. It was your rebirth. You didn't need to scream, post, or prove. You simply walked away. And in doing so, you became a man she can't ignore. But more importantly, you became a man who no longer needs to be seen to feel whole. You already won the moment you stopped chasing what didn't honor you. You won when you sat with the pain instead of running from it. You won when you built, when you trained, when you breathed through the storm and decided to rise. You see, the prize was never getting her back. The prize was becoming the man who doesn't break when she leaves. And if one day she realizes what she lost, it won't matter. Not because you're bitter, but because you've grown beyond the need for her regret to validate your worth. That is freedom. That is Stoic strength. And that is what the world needs more of. Not louder men, but stronger ones. Men who move in silence, who build without applause, and who choose clarity over chaos, purpose over desperation. So if you're feeling this message, if it hits something deeper than words, this is your reminder. Keep going. Keep building. Keep becoming untouchable. Not because it impresses her, but because it liberates you. Subscribe to Ultimate Stoicism if you're ready to live that life with intention. Share your story in the comments. Let others see that it's possible. That real power comes not from being chosen, but from choosing yourself, quietly, fully, and without looking back.